Do you want to save your marriage from divorce? Listen, none of us get married wanting to get divorced. At some point in every marriage, you think about it. Perhaps you're the couple in the beginning, you decided that you weren't going to get a divorce, but now you find yourself with these feelings and thoughts of, I would do better by myself. I want to tell you, you will not. Because the purpose of marriage is not for your happiness. The problem that you're running into is you think because you're not happy that you married the wrong person or you're doing something wrong. You're not. Problem is your idea of what marriage is all about. And so today I'm inviting you to change your perspective about marriage so that you don't divorce for all the wrong reasons. Now listen, I'm not talking about the woman who is abused or totally neglected in her marriage. I'm not asking you to stay in that. I'm talking to the woman who you're just tired, you're frustrated, you're overwhelmed. It feels like you can't seem to get through to your husband what it is you need to be happy or to find some level of peace. If that is you, if you're listening to this, I want you to hang around because I want to invite you to a new way of thinking about marriage. Listen, I'm a God girl and I believe that marriage is a God thing. And so anything God creates, he creates it for the purpose of glorifying him, but also so that we can grow and mature emotionally. And that will happen in your marriage. The problem with that is it's not fun. It's not easy, and it doesn't always lead to happiness immediately. But if you decide to change your mindset around the purpose of your marriage, I promise you, you can get to that place where you're happy in your marriage and the two shall become one. So here's what I want to introduce you to. Here's where I want to introduce you to the concept of the two becoming one. I want you to imagine that you want to remodel your home. And in the house, there's two small rooms that you want to knock down a wall to make bigger, make the room bigger. When you do this, it's going to cost you something. You're going to have to bring in some experts who know what they're doing to tear your wall down the right way. Two, it's going to be really messy for a while. It's going to take time for these two rooms to become one. And when these two rooms are becoming one, there's going to be mess everywhere and your life is going to feel inconvenient. And I promise you, during the process, you will not feel happy. But once they come and they do all the things they have to do and they clear everything out, they knock that wall down, they clear things out, and then they begin to have it the frame of the room. So now these two rooms are one, and you can put on fresh paint and put up your curtains. Now you're happy because the thing you wanted, it took a process, but you got there. That's the same thing with your marriage. Listen, when we join ourselves with our spouses in marriage, it's not going to be easy because we're two people entering into a relationship with completely different ideas about life. And even though you think you've talked about everything, when you begin to live together, you're going to realize, wow, we really are different. But I need you to view the difference as a bonus, not something that you have to fight against because you have a thought or belief that your way is the right way. There is no such thing as a right way and a wrong way when doing life. There's no right way to wash the dishes. There's no right way to clean the bathroom. There might be a better way, but don't get caught up on the right and the wrong. I am convinced that Satan used that as a tool to destroy marriages because he gets you wrapped up in the little things. I can't believe you left the tube of toothpaste open, or did you mash it from the middle instead of the end? These little things will tear down your marriage and tear down your spouse so that your marriage now is to Satan's glory instead of God's glory. So when you open your mind to the fact that, okay, God is inviting me to grow. He's inviting my spouse to grow. How can I grow in this relationship? How can I become more emotionally attuned, more emotionally mature? How can I learn to communicate more effectively? And how can I deal with maybe some of my own internal stuff so that I'm not projecting my hurts, my fears, and anger on my husband, that I'm inviting him into the space that our marriage can become, the two becoming one. I like to call it the healing space. What if your marriage, what if your husband is there or your spouse is there to help you heal from all of the false beliefs that's tearing you all apart? So here are 3 things I'm inviting you to do to heal and restore your marriage so that it doesn't end in divorce. 1, I want you to take time to write down and think about all the things you appreciate about your spouse. Really take some time to think about it. Think about the fact that you appreciate that he shows up on time, or that he calls when he's running late, or that he takes the trash out without you telling him, or he made the bed without you having to ask, or that he's there to support you through your goals and dreams. Think about the things that you truly appreciate about him, because there was something that made you marry him. So give attention to that, and then share that with him. Because it may be a really long time since he's heard the good things you think about him, because you're so busy trying to fix and change all the things that annoy you about him. Listen, we all go through that. But if we learn to shift our focus and turn to appreciation, then we have an opportunity to shift and change the marriage to a better situation. The second thing I want you to do is invite your spouse into a growth mindset marriage. Invite them into this journey, meaning sit down, have a conversation and say, hey, babe, I would like for us to shift this concept of us trying to be happily married, where everything I do pleases you and everything you do pleases me, and therefore we're not arguing, because that's what I thought marriage was, to let's open our hearts and our minds to the idea that God wants us to grow and become better people, not just to each other, but for each other and for him. Hey, would you do me a favor? Would you subscribe, like, and share this video? And would you leave me a comment to let me know if there was any part of the video that really spoke to you and helped out? Thanks so much. Continue watching. And so what would that look like to you? What would it look like to become emotionally mature to you? Will you learn how to regulate your emotions? Will you learn to not take everything personal? Will you learn to take responsibility for the things that you have said and done? Can you begin to do that? If you can, then you are now moving towards a marriage that can grow and thrive instead of one that is running towards divorce. And then lastly, the last thing I'd like for you to do is to begin to challenge some of the ideas that you had about marriage before you got married. Listen, we all have a fantasy ideal about marriage. Maybe we think that he's the one who's going to make me happy, or she's going to solve all my problems, or he's going to always be there and take out the dishes, or they're going to listen to everything I have to say, or they're going to make my life easy. Whatever those ideas are, I want you to begin to think about them and challenge the thoughts and ideas. Communicate about that. Communicate about the thoughts and ideas that you brought into the marriage. Not communicating from the perspective of, listen, this is how it has to be, but tell your spouse, hey, I really thought that when we first got married, this was one of mine, I really thought when we first got married, Andre would always keep gas in the car. Now, over time, he did do that, but because I had this expectation and I hadn't communicated it, I was constantly upset with him or disappointed because there wasn't always gas in my car. But here's the thing. I got this idea because my dad would keep gas in his wife's car. Andre and I lived together 2 years before we got married, and I never asked him to put gas in the car. I was capable of doing that myself. But there was a switch in my mind that said, the moment we get married, this is now his responsibility. I never asked him. I never told him. I just assumed. And so this assumption was leading to all this upset and disappointment. And all I needed to do was communicate it. But I also needed to grow up and realize I didn't marry my dad. I married my husband. And as an adult woman, I was pumping gas before, and I could continue to pump gas. All I'm saying is begin to challenge some of the thoughts and beliefs that you brought with you into this marriage and ask yourself, is it working? And if it's not, be willing to reevaluate and change your thoughts and beliefs to some that will work for your marriage, not for this ideal fantasy marriage that you've made up in your mind. I pray this has been a blessing. I pray this helps. And I pray that your marriage does not end in divorce, because I absolutely know, unless it's the worst situation ever where your husband or your spouse is unsupportive, they're an adulterer, they cheat on you, they beat you. If it's little things, the little nitpicking, where you just don't think you're compatible, but something caused you to marry this person, I encourage you to do the emotional work that's necessary to succeed in your marriage. All right, have a blessed day.